This harmony, yeah, is the key to the kingdom and queendom of heaven, earth.
Welcome to an evolution of my podcast, Healing in Harmony, and also to my YouTube channel. And today I'm blessed to have an amazing interview guest. Her name is Psychic Anu, also known as the Abundant Priestess and Psychic in the City. Check out the website. I'll leave a link below. But yeah, I'm super excited to have her here. We are feeling inspired to create something for you around the topic of living a magical life, not just a magical life, but a super magical life. And we both have experiences that we're excited to share, inspiration, and my wish, hope, prayer is that this activates magical synchronicities, hope, inspiration, and powerful possibilities in your life. So you're like, oh yeah, I don't have to live in the matrix. Oh, wait, I am a divine being manifest in human form. And actually, so many things are possible if I'm willing to open my mind and like step out of the norm. So, yeah.
Hi, Cora. Thank you so much for hosting me on your podcast. It's an honor to be here, and I've lived a very, very full and exciting life, and I would love to share a bit about at least my experience and how I'm interpreting all of this beauty around me and within me. And yeah, I'm hoping that it's going to be inspiring to other people too. Just be outside the box, be eccentric, be our own individual, magical selves in this world that feels sometimes like it's all like programmed or it's kind of running on autopilot. But tapping into those magical frequencies can really shift things, and it's always shifting things into alignment, into the best possibilities for us. So I'm really happy to have this conversation. It's one of my favorite topics, living a magical life, a super magical life. So yeah, thank you for hosting, and let's get into it. What do you want to, where should we start? Because my gosh, there's so many places to go with this. I was taking notes and it was just like I kept adding things and I'm like, oh my God, it's like every aspect of this life is actually so magical. It's insane.
Right?
Too much to even think.
Yeah. And so I thought a question that would be good is what are top two magical experiences from your life that come to mind? Just intuitively go with like the top two. Let's just hear about it.
So the one time that sticks out in my mind is one of the wildest experiences that I had was when I had hitchhiked a boat. I did like boat hitchhiking across the Atlantic one year in 2013. And I'll just keep the story brief, but basically I was wanting to get to Brazil and travel in South America. And I had been in Europe traveling already for a few months. And it was like my biggest travel of my life up until that point. And it still is one of the biggest memories that I have, was that year where I traveled for a whole year. But basically I wanted to manifest like an amazing boat for the journey to go across. And it's like, if you're there in Canary Islands looking for a boat, or if you're anywhere like boat hitchhiking, you know that you might be sitting for months waiting for a boat to come around, or you might be like you'll be so lucky if you even got on a boat that was like harbor, that you even have a friend on there or something. I mean, a lot of those situations were like strange, like people, like just random lonely sea people, like hiring somebody to help them on their boat to get across, doing some cleaning or whatever. Or getting some help. But anyway, I basically had manifested this entire boat of hippies. It was a rainbow boat. It literally sounds like a dream. It ended up being actually chaotic. Like there's a lot of trauma that happened on this boat, but it was like one of the best and greatest memories of our lives. We talk about it sometimes. I connect with the people again, and it's just like, what happened on there? It was so much magic, so much craziness. But it's like I had gone to Canary Islands to look for a boat to take me across to Brazil. And I wanted to go to Brazil too. A lot of the boats were going to the Caribbean. And anyway, I ended up just like giving up my search for a little while and following my heart, following my intuition after like a couple of months there waiting. And I went to a rainbow gathering, and some rainbow brother there that I had become kind of friends with, like brought up this opportunity that he thought that he could convince this guy to take all of us. There were like 14 people that ended up on that first journey going. Not all the way across. We went to Cabo Verde, and then 3 people got off, and then it was 11 people for the rest of the way. It was just really wild that it all came together exactly as I had imagined it in some aspects, because it was of rainbow people. And then we ended up going to Brazil. You know, that was the first stop. But that year was so crazy. I have like 100 stories from that year. But yeah, that was one of the things where I was like, oh my God, like I literally manifested this very specific thing that I was wanting that was quite like not easy to find, or not even, yeah, not even really in the realm of like possibilities if you're just like thinking about that it could happen, but it did. So
Amazing.
that's one story. I don't know if you want to share one now, because
I'll share one.
that brings up so much inspiration in me.
I love it. Yeah, and I apologize. I feel like my Wi-Fi isn't the best where I'm living, so I feel like the connection's a
Oh,
little iffy. So hopefully this works and people, we can still share it. Either way, angels help us.
yeah.
That's why I
If
love
it
to.
needs to get chopped up or something too later, you can if you want to. But
Well,
we're
one
flowing here. Hopefully, everyone is still with us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what comes to mind of one of my most magical experiences was I had an opportunity to do ayahuasca the first time, and I was in Nelson, BC, in Canada, which is already a magical place. And I remember at the time I didn't have a lot of money. I was just kind of like a hippie traveler. And I prayed to the universe. I was like, if it's in my highest good, because like the ayahuasca ceremony was like several $100s. I forget. It was like 2 or 3 or 5 or something like that. I forget. But it was an amount that I didn't have. And I prayed to the universe. I was like, universe, if it's in my highest good to be a part of this ceremony, may the perfect resources appear. And then I checked my bank account, and out of the blue, couple $100s came in from the Canadian government. I was like, what? Like, and it was like February. It was weird timing. Like it was a tax related thing, but it was weird timing. And I was like, it was totally unexpected. And at the time I was like, thanks. But then I was also like, I need to go grocery shopping. So I like went and bought groceries, and then I ran out of money. And then I was like, okay, universe, if it's really in my highest good to do ayahuasca, may the perfect resources appear again. And it happened again. So again, I checked my account, and like randomly there was like hundreds more dollars than I had, a random deposit from the Canadian government, and unexpected. And so I was just like, okay, I'm doing this ceremony, like, and I did it. But that was an example of just like magical manifesting, where it was like, whoa, if it's meant to be, it will be.
My goodness, I get chills about that. I love that. Plus, the universe like spoke to you multiple times on that. I personally feel like one of the biggest. I mean, there's so many aspects to go with this, or there's different ways to describe this magical living. But I do feel like the conversation with the universe needs to be addressed as well. Like, because really living a magical life is all about following intuition and following the intuitive signals that are surrounding us, right? Basically, just like the more that we can tap into our own awareness and recognition of these signals, then the more we're able to just like flow with life and be in the right place at the right time. There's so many different like ways that you can think about it, but creating your own luck.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, I kind of feel like it's like listening to the inner flow of like journaling, self-reflection, what do I want? And also listening to the outer flow of like, what is the universe suggesting? How are the signs flowing? How is my body feeling? What does it seem to be suggesting? And yeah, I love what you said about creating your own luck. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, actually, this is one of my favorite, another one of my favorite things to talk about, creating our own luck. So, yeah, I feel like the whole world has potential to be lucky or to feel like they can create their own luck. But yeah, the more you tap into the universal flow, the more that you trust and really allow your heart to lead, I feel like the more that the luck it feels like a tool that's easily accessed, like a second nature, like anything else, like riding a bike, creating your own luck.
I agree. And I feel like a lot of it is like divine perspective, like shifting from the human limited stuff, even the triggered moments, to like being able to like process emotions and then get to that space of overcoming and realizing like, oh wow, this happened for my highest good, or like I really love journaling as a tool to like access my spirit and like connect with what I truly desire, and it helps me like shift my perspective on reality, because I feel like the more that I see life as magical and I see that everything is possible and I appreciate all the good that's here now, I feel like that it's almost like luck is almost like this energy, like this magical energy we can kind of like build up in ourselves, and then we become more magnetic to like those positive experiences. And I feel like for me, actually, Bali, my first time there was like an example of like when I was living so in the flow. Like I was vlogging my life and I was like cultivating all this like positive energy, and I was very devoted to like pleasure and bliss in that moment. I like in that time of my life, I was like, literally, I would ask myself, what do I truly desire? And just like continually unearthing and revealing just the treasure of like, yeah, what do I want? Like if I'm not just on autopilot thinking and doing random stuff, like if I really tune in, like I remember one day I was like, what do I really want? And I was like, I want chocolate. I want raw chocolate from Alchemy.
Yes.
And like it was like such a silly thing. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like make my whole life schedule today around chocolate. But like I went for it. And lo and behold, that day I met India Ari that day, who's one of my favorite
You met
musicians.
who?
India Ari,
Oh,
like one of my
okay.
favorite.
That's one I'm gonna have to check up. Like, please share that later with me.
Yeah,
Must know who that is.
incredible. And like I met her,
That's
she was
awesome.
right beside me. Yeah, and I feel like if I had just like mentally bypassed my desire at that time, I would have missed out on the opportunity. And it was like one of the most magical, super magical moments of my life.
Oh my God. I love that. I love that. Like, and like that's the classic thought too, like of um intuitives or people that are like moving with intuition is like sometimes you really wonder like I mean if like what where is this action going to lead to? Like you never know. Your soulmate could be around the corner from your building or something at this moment that you go, and like I also love what you said about, well, the way I took it is about like not judging yourself for the desire or not judging the intuitive signal that's coming to you as a craving or as some like desire, because actually that's a sensation. And I feel like also the way that the universe is speaking to us is through sensory perception. So um like so that the craving is also like a clue on the path. you know and yeah, so that's so magical. And I think it's also a good like thing to bring up that in living we also really try not to judge frustrating experiences, because and we all get caught up in it. Sometimes we're stuck in traffic when we're late, or there can be so many frustrating things as we're dealing with world and life things, the technology, all of that. But the more that we tap into the level of understanding and trust and just faith and trust, really, then we know that we're always in the right place at the right time, that no matter what, the universe is either guiding us or protecting us or redirecting us somewhere. So there's a purpose to it all, and there's also learning lessons too. If something really goes wrong, we can learn from those lessons, and that's also a really powerful medicine too. So even the concept of dancing together as opposed to fighting, wow, like, and that's so powerful because it really like also encompasses the idea that like life is a theater and that this is all just like a big illusion, and it's meant to be fun and it's meant to be playful, and there's also darkness too, but like as there's dark extremes, so there are light extremes too. So it's like it's all about balance. And I believe in that tradition as well, whichever one where they're dark and light are dancing, that the light is always slightly on top. So the light prevails, and actually there can't really be any darkness where there is any light. There could be a dark spot in a lit area, but you can't really have like, yeah, you can't have total darkness. If there's some light, it's going to shine so brightly, even if it's in a little corner. So yeah, I mean, I feel like the light wins, but there is definitely a place for the darkness, um, and the shadow aspects and the shadow self. And I feel like part of living a magical life also is being able to go in the depths too, because sometimes being in the light can also be a bit more on like surface level, or can deal with sometimes like a bit more superficial energies. It's like the further down you go into people or into things and situations, sometimes there is some darkness to address, but I feel like it's all like, let's see, another analogy or another like way to think about this is that there are the dark and the light worlds. There's also like the lower world and the above world. So there's like what is illuminated and what is hidden. So there's a lot of different ways that we can look at it that's softer than just like good and evil. I personally love the archetype of the raven, who is, and there's another few archetypes like this within animal spiritual animal meanings or whatever. But the raven is like a carrier of energy between the dark and the light. So I feel like, and I feel like and then magic is very much associated with the raven. So I'm seeing it like this kind of dancing on the line of light and darkness too. And that's like the most magical frequency to be in. So when we have these extremes too of the dark and the light, like you want to be as close to the center as possible so that you're not like any too much of one thing can actually bring imbalance, you know? Yeah. And a lot of spiritual philosophy is all about bringing us into balance. So I guess my philosophy on it is that there is a place for it all, and we have to do our best to try to like find peace and acceptance within it all too. Make changes where we can, but I feel like it's like, yeah, like so much of this world is either like glorifying the dark or it's like afraid of the dark, but just like finding some peace or just like observing it as as it is also like really powerful, I think. I hope that made sense.
Absolutely. I loved it. I loved it. And I wish my Wi-Fi was better, but whatever, it'll be what it is.
Oh,
But it makes me think even of music, you know, or art. And like, it's way more interesting when you're not always in the major chords and you're open to the minor or something in between.
absolutely.
For colors, like if everything was like white, 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 you know, it'd be so boring. Like I love the black, I love the whole spectrum. And like likewise, like, you know, I feel like when it comes to the human experience, it's like if people want me to be just happy and pretty and skinny all the time, whatever it is, you know, the acceptable parts, it's like, well, that could be interesting for some, but it would be extremely boring for me specifically. Like I love the dark, I love the shadow, I love all these like underdog aspects of myself in society, and I'm bringing love to it for healing, and then to bring medicine to the world, to be like, no, you can love yourself too, even in those forbidden aspects of yourself, and bring medicine and bring healing and like make the world a better place for everyone.
Okay, so I'm calling in the best message, please channeling the best message for everyone here today. Where can we place our focus to best navigate? Wow, it's a beautiful card. We got justice, truth. Yeah, so justice is all about truth, and it does represent like the higher judgment. Justice and judgment are actually kind of similar. They're both major archetypes of in the tarot Fool's Journey, but both representing this kind of like higher moral perspective or higher moral way of looking at a situation. And really the most moral energy that there is truth, right? So like, and immorality are things that can be, yeah, like shady, right? Or clouded or dark, right? So Hierophant is one of my favorite cards. This is representing like the higher wisdom and tradition of the planet. Like this would be like the record keeper of sacred knowledge, and really like deals with things that are of a soulful nature or of a higher purpose or higher calling nature. So like anytime that the Hierophant comes up in a love reading, for example, I feel like it's a very destined connection. You know, whatever it is, it's destined. So in a career path, this is very much like soul purpose career, you know, alignment. It could also represent mentorship and like higher levels of wisdom. So, and then the last card that came out for this collective read, interestingly, is also another, like, I feel like, oh yeah, okay, so Justice is carrying a sword. I'm like, this reminds me so much of Justice. Sorry. Justice has a sword in her hand, and then this is the sword also. So cutting through the confusion, or cutting through even like the darkness to find the light, cutting through the, you know, the cutting through the lack of clarity to find what is clear, what is true. So I feel like that it's like and this card also deals with like meditation, like simplifying the mind, the mental energies too. This is the first, the ace is the first of all of the suit of the swords, which is deal with mental energies and, you know, intellectual things. So, and also actually deals with like long-term plans too. So the two of these together feels like it's like this is like a long-term journey, or like the beginning of a long-term journey. It can be also like the spark of consciousness or the enlightened path. And then the Hierophant is all about enlightenment, and also like the Hierophant is also deeply rooted in between the darkness and the light as well. So I wanted to highlight these two cards and then bring in High Priestess. This didn't come up in the read, but I went looking for it because I was like, okay, I know there's more cards with pillars in them, but they're all like, so these two have pillars. This one's sitting between two pillars, and then this one's also, she's more clearly between the pillars of the dark and the light, but pillars in the tarot do symbolize the duality or the polarities, polar aspects of the human experience as well, and of nature, really. More divine aspect. And then they're all sitting between these pillars. So they're sitting, they're also not like actively trying for something too. They're just like in a place of receptiveness. And they are, yeah, just, they're well balanced in between the two. So there's the importance of the dark and the light is really like seen also throughout different aspects of like the world and the way that we look at it. One more little fun comparison that I want to bring up with the tarot is that the Lovers and the Devil are actually really similar cards. They're like the same exact positions, except that in the Devil's card, in the in the Devil's card, you have the Lovers are chained together at the feet of this Devil, and so this is like the darker energy. It's like, I actually do see the darkness in some ways like as a kind of like this seeking to control. I think I brought that up to you the other day too, within that sacred dance analogy and everything, that it's like the light actually is like shining brighter than the darkness, but when the darkness tries to reach the light, that's when it gets like stomped out by the light or something, or that's when there's actually like the friction that we get between, and like the conflict energy. So anyway, so we have the Lovers chained together here in the Devil, and then over here they're not chained together, and they have this angelic force above them, and their hands are free, you know, to also receive like other blessings and to share more with others too, with the world. So it's less like an entrapped feeling and more like a liberated feeling in the togetherness. So I just wanted to share some of that with you. And yeah, the tarot is definitely like a really awesome way. Like the more you understand about tarot too, and the more that you, or the more that you study tarot, the more you can understand about these dark and light aspects too, and the like story of it all, like, and how that each like light and dark aspect actually fits into the greater picture, really quite synchronistically at the end of the day.
Thank you so much. I feel like you have so much wisdom, like so many words that you say. I'm like, whoa, like mystical
Oh
wisdom.
my God.
Tap, so powerful and potent. I love it.
Oh, thank
And I
you.
love that you're not scared to talk about, you know, even the devil card. Like part of me was like, ooh, like, cause I think with a lot of
I know,
experience
right?
with like spirit and psychedelics, like I'm aware there's dark shit out there and I don't mess with it. Like I'm like, I pray for protection. I'm always just like, you know, I'm aware. And I would recommend anyone out there, you know, take care of yourself spiritually, you know, pray for protection in whatever way you need. But at the same time, like sometimes, you know, I remember once someone shared with me a psychedelic journey where they were facing this demon, but then when they faced it and loved it and gave it medicine, it was actually their own inner child. And then they experienced more of a healing and a union with that. And I feel like that's why it's important, like, yeah, pray for protection, don't mess with shit you don't need to mess with, but at the same time, like if you have an opportunity to love and put some love into something that seems like monstrous or fearful or like scary or trauma, you can probably transform it and bring healing. And yeah, and something I really love too about that reading, I really felt, I mean, I feel like I've been guided to meditate a lot more, but now that really actually gave me genuine inspiration because especially in these times of like change and transformation, like if we want to live super magical lives and be our super magical self, why don't we connect with our super magical source? You know, like that's obvious. And it's just like, yeah, it might involve a little bit more time commitment to surrendering some of the human stuff, but like, yeah, why not? And like, Yeah, so I loved
I
it.
love that. I love to take showers with like candles lit, like in the shower. And so I turn off the lights and then I put incense and then I put music. And sometimes I just like, if I'm like, I'll do it just like, I mean, I just did it this morning. Like think I did it yesterday morning too. So like the goal is to like always start my day with this. But also if I need just a little pick me up, if I'm like, okay, I need to be super high vibe because I'm going to go do an interview or I'm going to go do this or that. Like, that like I need to be really present for, or if I'm stressed out, I'm like, oh my God, I just need this moment, like 5 minutes in the shower, 5 to 10 minutes in that environment just feels so nurturing. And it's like a mini spa experience just in your own, my bathroom is not even luxurious either. It's like a stand-up shower. I'm just like, it feels so good.
God, Queen, I love this. That's like a temple experience for the
It
body.
is a temple experience. Every time I'm in there, I'm like, oh.
'Cause I do that for baths. I feel like with baths, I'll really amp up and like,
Right.
put in the candles and the music. And that's something I also love to do for people in like medicine ceremony situations. I love doing like a goddess bath, one of my favorite.
Oh,
But do I ever do that for a shower? No. So thank you. Now I have a
yeah,
new.
just another little thing to do to goddess ourselves up for our days.
I love it.
So many little things. Yeah, and I do love taking baths too. And actually, yeah, so another direction I really wanted to like go with this talk too, if you're open to it, is talking about like wellness and like the just yeah, like the honestly living the most magical life or the priestess life as I'm, more conceptualizing it. The abundant priestess life like involves so much self-care like you mentioned and wellness, and then along with that theme there's a whole aspect of natural living and natural wellness practices that are just, I feel like it's so important. I mean, and I could be wrong. There could be people out there that are still using like Dove shampoos and like so and feeling super aligned with their, with their surroundings and everything. But most really, really magical people that I know are using like everything as mostly natural as possible, like natural products, and also even the food that we eat. It's like most of our plates are like full of fruits and vegetables. A lot of like raw and ideally organic items too. And like, are we on it 100%? No. Like, I'm a cocktail girly. I go out, I have fun. I have some unhealthy, like, things that I do too. But yeah, mostly I feel like the closest that we can be to nature, like within our own bodies, makes us feel so alive and aligned. I mean, like imagine if you're full of chemicals or if you're putting chemicals on your body as opposed to if you're literally putting the earth on your body. And a lot of natural products, I mean, like, even like instead of using lotion, I use like shea butter. That's like so it's like the best. I'm like, how does everybody not use shea butter? It's like so soft and makes your skin like amazing. And it's not really like an oily residue. Just like, so the time when I really started to feel like I was goddessing up my life was when I started inviting all of like the most like all of the nature and nutrients into my life. And then yeah, there's just so many ways to go with this. There's also this like concept of aesthetic nutrients too, like just beautifying your world, beautifying your space, beautifying yourself, seeing the world through beautiful eyes too. But yeah, so that was a lot. But what do you think about wellness, Cora? Anything to say or share?
No, just kidding.
Not a single thing.
I love what you just shared. No, it's like amazing. And I feel like it's also okay to just do the best we can because sometimes it's just like life is challenging and you can't always get whatever. I mean, I just want to acknowledge that some people, we just do the best. Doing the best we can is great. But I really resonate with you about nature because I'll say that like years ago, I remember I was working with a coach, my friend, we were doing like a coaching trade and we were achieving some magical results and like part of the consciousness that was flowing through with both of us was about like abundance and wealth and what it really means. And for me, the word when I imagined wealth, I was like Gaia abundance. Cause like ideally, like I don't want some like magical thing that's like, here's like infinite crypto for Earth. It's like, what? No, that's going to create such an imbalance. Like, if anything, when I think of what real wealth is, it's like being able to have like a beautiful home and garden and like live by the ocean. Like right now, that's what I love about where I live in BC. Like I live right by the ocean. I have gorgeous
Oh,
forests and my favorite waterfall, just like right there. And like honestly, the trees where I live, like I'm getting goosebumps. Like I love them so much. They're so magical and like full of
oh,
energy. Like they're so like you can just feel they're loved, they're acknowledged, they're participating. Like whereas I feel like I've traveled to other places in Canada, specifically like Northern Ontario. I love it all, but like I remember being there and I was like, oh, the trees feel like dead. Kind of like women. Like if like you know when people don't acknowledge women as actual people and then they're just like, and like they're just like bitter and like just stuck in their heat.
oh,
And
yeah.
I will say like that first ayahuasca ceremony that I manifested that money for, I remember at one point I stepped out to use the outhouse and I stepped outside and I saw with my first time on the ayahuasca eyes nature and the full moon. And I was like, it was all swirling kind of like a Van Gogh painting, but way beyond. Like it was just so beautiful and alive. And I was like, I see you. Like you're alive. You're here. Like, because I feel like very often, like it's almost like that quote, like the world is just waiting for us. Like it's a magical just waiting for us to for our I forget the quote, but it's like something about it's waiting for us to wake up to it and how magical it is. And I feel like the more that we wake up to it, the more that then like, yeah, it's reflected. And this is a really, really, really magical place. Like, and to me, that's true
I love
abundance.
that.
Like being able to be, like I said, by the ocean, being able to go and be nourished by all these amazing trees and like waterfalls and like that means the world to me. And then it's like to have the best
Oh.
of both worlds of like the natural wealth and also like the human created wealth. Because I also love like beautiful things and like art and like beautiful stuff that you can only make as a human. Like I love all of it and I want the best of both worlds. Because I think of you, you're in New York City. Like you're in like the apex of like human created culture and wealth, or at least one of
My
them.
gosh. I know I've actually finally started craving nature again. I'm like a crazy person. I've spent so much time in like very natural environments and nature in small towns and all those farms in California for all those years and stuff. And like now living in New York City, I'm like, wow, how could I possibly go months without really like even noticing that I'm in this like matrix? Um, and somehow I must just be like also a city girl too, because somehow I like have not even really noticed that much. But just recently, the last few days, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really craving nature. So I need to actually get my butt out the door and go take a drive out to like Connecticut or northern New York or something. But yeah, I love hearing you talk about where you're living. I feel it there too. I feel it. And you're also very natural with your plants and you have a lot of like yeah, like natural elements surrounding you too. I can see that. You even have yeah, you have like wood and stuff around you. You're very naturey. Would you say you have a green thumb?
Well, this is actually a sublet, which I'm really grateful for.
Oh,
I'd say I have a green thumb for outdoor plants, but indoor is a new learning curve. Like
they look
honestly,
so
I'm totally.
healthy. I'm like, oh my God, they look really thriving.
That's good. That's good. I mean, that's my hope and my prayer. I'm just like an interesting thing that I learned about indoor plants is they like to be neglected. Like they don't need to be watered all the time.
Mm,
Like if you just like give them time and space and like be patient. So that's a good
wow.
medicine to learn. But yeah, so anyways, I feel like this is probably a good time to circle this up and
Yeah,
so, is there one more thing you'd like to share for people about how to live a super magical life? Like, if you could share anything that could,
probably. There is like I had so much on here.
there's like a million. Me too, I'm unlimited. But what do you feel is
I
the
guess
most helpful?
I want to talk about like just like the cycles and the rhythms a little bit because I feel like people get really hung up. I mean, so I'm doing tarot readings online for like thousands of random clients from online. So I get like people's really like deepest, darkest, like strange things, things that people wouldn't even tell their friends, but they're coming to me about this stuff. But a lot of things that people are struggling with are like feeling like some people are really out there like feeling just straight unlovable, feeling like I'm never going to meet somebody. And I'm just like sitting over here thinking, God, like I wish I could just like shake you. Like I try, and they're the people that I find it's really hard because I come in with all this like, oh my God, like you're so amazing. Like I'm like really like inspirational. Like you're a queen. Like you're gonna attract your king into your life. Like always remember that. But sometimes I'm realizing like you really have to meet people where they're at. I want to, I guess, speak to anyone who feels like at this moment when they're watching all of this and they're thinking like, okay, like I kind of believe it, or I kind of experienced that, but like I can never like be that happy, or I could never really be that accepting, or I could never really, like people with really doubt. Like, so I just want to share that like nobody gets to be in this place of like magical living without going through some tough stuff. I mean, we have all, I feel like any healer has gone through, any true healer. I'm sure there's people out there that are, not as authentic, but any true healer has gone through first their own healing process, and they're still healing. And so it's really not about like reaching the state of perfection or like fully magical living to where there's like no issues at all. But again, it's more like dancing with these like natural rhythms and like, yeah, like not judging too much what's going on, but trying to just like do what the best that we can to process what's going on in the moment, to say, what is the universe trying to show me? And so you just like start to like become more curious about the process too. This just like being even curious about the process also creates that potential to really like find some clues of your own on the path, right? So yeah, and so like I guess I want to just highlight that we're not always going to be on top, like especially even in the cycle of creation, even for us that we might feel like we're very in the flow, but you're not going to be on the top always. Like it's like in the Wheel of Fortune, I would pull that card out, but in the Wheel of Fortune, the wheel's always moving, and sometimes you're on the up wave and sometimes you're on the down wave, and but the fact is that it's like nothing is constant. Like the only constant thing in this world is change. So being able to adapt to change more is also so much a part of what it means to live a magical life. And so yeah, anyone who is experiencing some toughness right now, because I don't even want to like overshadow what's a pretty deep time for a lot of people right now, and there have been a lot of like dark energies recently that have come up, and just like deeper stuff. And but I feel like the more that we the more that you connect with your natural rhythm, the more that you will like be able to navigate through all of this and eventually reach the light. So if anyone's out there, like some of my clients out there who've literally been cursing themselves, sometimes I'm like, oh God, don't say that. Like, even if it feels fake it till you make it. That's one thing like I want to say actually to oppose the truth is like sometimes we have to actually like speak truth into being. You know what I mean? Even if you don't feel like I'm beautiful and magical today, like just say it, and you're like you can influence the universal frequencies to help you on that path towards actually feeling that way. So yeah, like speaking to the discouragement that happens, because we all face doubt, we all face some challenges, but it's like this too shall pass, and we will be on the upswing again. So it's good to also like accept that and understand that. I think most magically minded people do have that awareness, and it helps them in those tougher moments to just be able to get through it, instead of falling apart.
1,000,000%. And I when I think of what the greatest magic is, the greatest magic is love. Like that it is. And so even when you were sharing about that person, I don't know who they are, but like I can relate to the feeling of sometimes just being like, I'm an unlovable monster.
Like, yeah.
The like kinky part of me just wants to like be like mess with that person in a consensual, loving, respectful way, but just be like, yeah, you're disgusting. But like the truth is, like,
This
and
is
it
your
just makes me think
darkness.
of
I
like
love it.
authenticity and like love. Like the creator, I feel like creator, if creator were here in human form with us, they would be like, yeah, you're gross. Like I just, okay, I'm
But
sorry. Being all like weird.
it's kind of that like we attract what we're thinking too. It's like if we think that about ourselves, the universe will also reflect that to us. And that's that That's,
Well, and
yeah, I
like
think
you
that's kind
said,
of what
it's
you're
like
saying.
that energy where you were saying with the tarot card and how nature has like magnetic energy and it has deflective energy. And I feel like when we're sending out deflective energy, like, and I do this. I know I do this. I can be a bit of a porcupine, especially around love and stuff, because I'll just be like, no, no, you can't, no. But if I were actually just like, wait, these reasons why I think I'm not lovable or I don't want to be loved because I'm scared, what if those are actually not even valid reasons? And it's like, oh, you think you're too fat, or oh, you think you're sick, or you're on your moon, or like you think you're weird. It's like there's somebody, actually, well, creator at large loves it. So there's got to be somebody in the physical world, or at least, tribe or whatever. There could be more than one.
There's lots of people, I
There's
think,
lots
right?
of people. And I think that
There's
people
so many
love
people.
authenticity. Like, I know for me, like, I crave it. Like, when someone's, even when it comes to physical stuff, like, I remember watching a burlesque, or a story about a burlesque woman who she always felt really insecure about her stomach. She just felt like it was all like, whatever. And I don't know what her judgment was. So she was always hiding it. But then she decided to instead lead with it. And I remember watching one of her burlesque performances, and I was like, I couldn't take my eyes off her stomach. I was like, there's something about it that's just so like her. It's just so like
Wow.
it's so interesting, right? So it's, and likewise, I feel like when we're bullied or challenged or judged by other people, like oftentimes that's actually where our uniqueness and our power is. So like if we can like lean into our shadow a bit and be like, wait, what if it's awesome that I am the shape that I am, or that I am whatever it is that I'm judging myself for, and instead of putting out the deflective energy, I can be like, you know what? Yeah, like I am what I am.
Totally. And the more that you love yourself, don't you just see yourself actually transform? Like when, yeah, like I used to have a lot of body issues speaking on that because I feel like that is probably like the number one issue with people is discomfort within the body, some kind of bodily issue. It could be actually health related or it could be like insecurities and things, but I feel like a lot of us, like even when we're really young, like that's like one of our first traumas is when we recognize some shame related to our body, you know, probably even going back to the first time that we're like making accidents when we're trying to potty train and stuff, it's like, oh, we feel so embarrassed, like, so we've had this body shame. I feel like a lot when we're also like awkward and coming into ourselves as adolescents, and then like healing that, when we can actually learn to heal that through many aspects of magical living, like the things that we discussed through, natural foods and good nourishing, products and things like that. So, like that helps us to feel more comfortable within our bodies. And the more that we tell ourselves that we love ourselves, like the more that we start to actually see ourselves differently. And one of the crazy things is like for me, after I did all of this cleansing when I was like 23, that was when I really saw my body transform. But it wasn't really, it could have been the actual physical things inside of me if I was releasing some energy or some stuff. But like, I just felt like my mind went through a whole transformation. Like my mind finally transformed. I wasn't even, like, I used to have obsessions about food and counting calories and all that. And I eventually didn't have that anymore at all. And it's so much to the point that now, like, it's just crazy. Like, so I go to this really nice gym, and every day I weigh myself just for fun. And I just like, I always think like, oh my God, I'm so grateful to not be in the trap of the body issues. And so I don't even know why I still weigh myself, just curious. But like every day when I see it on there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like literally like 10 pounds lighter than I was in like high school and college when I was fighting with that weight and fighting with it. And I've seen it happen. Like I actually have a really awesome client of mine who, through her own research too, probably some of the readings have helped as well. But no, she did so much personal research and just like really understanding psychological like aspects of herself and about life and everything. And through her study and personal research and efforts, she has lost a ton of weight, and she didn't even do it through like a surgery or anything. And I've literally witnessed this from like our first conversations like 4 years ago where she was at to where she is now. I mean, she hardly reads with me anymore now because I just think she's very like, she has her ways of intuiting her own messages and everything. But yeah, I'm just like, I have seen incredible like miraculous transformations within myself, and I've seen it within others too. So magical living also can like like the more that we incorporate magical living into our lives, the more that like our perception of ourselves and literally our form can shift and change. Like we're shape shifting literally like into more of who we really are. Like I love what you said about I forget exactly how the analogy was, but about like uncovering more layers of self. That it's not necessarily that we're like finding something new. But this is what I got from it, that we're really just like discovering more of ourself as we peel away these layers of, you know, paradigms and like thought processes and rules and conditions that were never ours. They were just placed on us from a childhood, you know. So reclaiming our own power and our own connection with divine energy, our own influence.
I love that. And I totally get it too about like the body stuff because I know for me, like I've struggled with that too, big time. And I'm going through a
Yeah.
minute of like, ooh, I comfort ate a lot over the holidays and my life has become more peaceful. I think I'm decompressing. But and then I'm like, okay, but I also want to keep being healthy and feel in my optimal, magical, confident self. And but yeah, a big piece is like acceptance and love and just accepting and loving where I am now. And then that naturally allows an evolution if I so want to. But either way, I'm already happy and feeling grateful and loving myself. So love is the answer. But yeah, what did I want to say about, sorry, I just like went back to another topic, but
No, by the way, you're not fat. If you, you're so funny over there. I'm like, is she talking about herself? I'm like,
our own, I'm on my period, to be honest. I'm on my period.
okay, yeah, no,
I
I
feel
feel you
very
there.
uncomfortable. I think anyone watching this is like, ah, like I don't know. I feel like
Oh no,
I
I
just
know. I always feel gross when I'm my period too,
yeah,
or
it's
I'll get
just
like a zit or something. But
oh my God, I have two right here. I'm like, what
we
the
can't see them,
can't see
luckily.
it. I was actually impressed. I was like, this is actually magical. Like, why did I get two random zits on my eyebrow? And then I was like, oh,
Interesting.
two of hearts, like two symbolizes love, left is this feminine side, this symbolizes,
Ooh,
but I don't know. I was just kind of, well, this is my knowing, but this is like the frame with which I view things. I don't know. I have all this symbolism around my body. I
I
think
love that.
things like this is the earth, and like so the more we can love it and learn from it, the more we can be healed and happy and magical. But yeah, I feel like there was a point I wanted to make, which is um I don't know. I guess I just wanted to go back to like healing the body piece because like I feel like especially as women and people, like it's just so good to take care of our bodies and love ourselves and like
Oh,
yeah, and
it's
like
the most important thing. Like we have to, like when we take care of ourselves, we are really loving ourselves. And when we're really loving ourselves, that is the essence of all like magical philosophy, magical living. It's really all based on love. At the root of it all, it's love.
absolutely. When you get back to that like super magical source, like throughout any spiritual path, like the golden thread of truth leads back to love. So again, it's like the more love we can cultivate, heal into, allow ourselves to feel and resonate respectfully, of course, with like great boundaries. For
Mm-hmm.
others, it's like that is the greatest magic. And so yeah, I love it. And I love that if anyone wants to check out her website, check out psychicinthecity.nyc. And she does amazing readings. I noticed through your reviews, you have like the most magical love reviews. So
Oh,
yeah, I feel like, if
thanks.
you guys are having a wedding or a bachelorette or something, and you want a magical person bringing this high level wisdom, like honestly, I feel like you're such a spiritual teacher. Like, holy shit. Like,
Oh my gosh.
we're gonna be on big
Thank you.
stage. Like, yeah, no, this is potent. Thank you for this
Thank
opportunity
you.
to resonate with you. I appreciate it a lot.
I appreciate you too. I feel really inspired every time that we talk. So I hope to be able to do more episodes like this with you. And yeah, thank you so much for hosting me today. And then yeah, for anyone who is watching this, I'm located in New York City, so I'm doing events in the city. So yeah, if you have any like she mentioned, a bachelorette party or a private birthday party or something like that, I would love to read tarot at your event, building up this business in the city. So let's just see what happens. I haven't had any events yet, but I did come here to do this.
And we just had a call recently, and then someone booked a consultation. And
That's
so,
true.
just speaking of other magical manifestations, like right after you and I talked, that same call, after we reconnected after like
Yeah.
2 months, I randomly checked into my bank account and there was a few $100s that I did not expect. And I was like, huh? And then as well, like a new client came in today. I'm like, I feel like
Ooh,
some people, we just unlock magic, you know? And so it's like good to just keep opening up the conversations and the portals whenever it feels authentic for both people. Cause I feel like we have some wealth creation and like love manifestation.
absolutely. That's another thing, just like one last point I want to make, because it's just giving me this vision of, you never know what seed that you're planting now that seems like it's like you don't really know. You just felt an intuitive calling to connect with this person or say this thing or make this post or do this thing. So you never know what seed has been planted now that is going to evolve years from now, or that's really going to have room to blossom and an opportunity to nurture down the road. So even more reasons to follow every intuitive impulse that you can. And also, don't be afraid to invest in yourself and take a risk, because you never know what that's going to lead to, even if it's not an immediate result.
Well, even like one more thing I'll say is like I remember once like I had a friend who invited me to co-host a goddess retreat, and I was like I felt so unworthy. I was like, me, like even though it was so unrealistic. But then I ended up like investing in a massage or like reflexology, and then the self-care increased my self-worth. And so talking about an example of like investing yourself, like to live the magic. So, anyways, I feel like it's gonna cut out
Absolutely.
soon. So thank you so much. You're so lovely. This is
Oh,
amazing.
bless you, Cora. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who is still with us on this Zoom, and tune in again. I'm sure we're going to be having more conversations like this.
Welcome, oh, 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 oh.